Hello and welcome to AM Guitar with me, Anjay. Today we are going to take a look at my pedal board. Now, I'm not some big rock star, I'm not doing like a vanity rig rundown or anything like that. I thought what it would be interesting for people to see who follow the channel would be what makes it onto my board, considering the amount of gear that I review, that I get given, that I buy myself, that I get discounts on, whatever else. What actually makes it onto the board? Does anything that I've been given make it onto the board? Does anything that I've reviewed make it onto the board? So I just thought I'd run through it, maybe play you a few tones from it, and just kind of explain the way I lay out a pedal board. Now, obviously this pedal board is homemade. It's made from bed slats from an old bed. It is powered. It is powered by a Mosky ISO 10. I also have a Palmer power conditioner going into it, just in case the power going from the socket's a bit iffy. And I also have LED lights on it that I'll show you later, but they're a bit noisy, but just for fun. So you don't need to spend a fortune on a pedal board. I made this myself. It took me a couple of hours, as you can probably tell. On to the pedals, and I'll let you know. I'll let you know on this board what I've bought and what's been given to me. So, bought, given to me. And I'll explain all of that in a minute. Let's start off with the obvious beginning point for any good pedal board, a tuner. Now this is a really cheap Coco tuner. I had a Donner one that broke. And also I started to find wasn't as accurate as I was hoping it would be. So this is really good, it's very accurate, it's very cheap, about 20 quid or something. I would quite like to put a Polytune Mini in there, a TC one at some point, but this will do me nicely for now. It's true bypass, it doesn't affect the signal at all. The first pedal that affects my signal, as opposed to affects my pignal, is the JSA Box of Clean. Now this is a custom built pedal for me by Simon at JSA, and it combines three different things. First, it is a compressor. It's an optical compressor. He makes amazing optical compressors. Second, it is a treble boost based on the little treble maker that's up here, which is an interesting pedal. It's a bit like a Range Master. What it does is it takes the trebles and just makes them sound nicer. It kind of makes, I don't know, it's a make better button. It just makes everything sound a bit sweeter. So you have the compressor, you have the treble boost. You also have a bass EQ as well. So what you end up with is you end up with a boost to up the volume of everything, but it's completely clean. It's a really high headroom, like 27 volt boost. So you get no breakup in this at all. You also have the volume from the compressor, which can push the rest of the system, the rest of the board. You have the treble boost, obviously, which you can dial in and out. But also, I found because of the way my pedal board setup is quite mid-heavy, you start to lose some of the high end sometimes, even with the treble boost in there. So I got him to put me in a little bass control, just so I can push the bass if I want to, or if I want a particularly bassy amp, I can reduce the bass if I want to. So that's a really cool pedal. I want to swap this for something Klon-like at some point though. I can't justify a KTR. I almost justified one, but didn't. But something in that vein at some point, maybe, we'll see. Next, the signal goes into my wah pedal, which is the Mua Wata. Now this, if I can open it, is a really cool mini wah that unfolds to kind of be an almost proper sized treadle, is that what they call them? Little foot pedal. Very much like a Crybaby in tone, which I love. I have got a Vox wah, but it's like the size of this ball on one side, so it was too big. This filled the space nicely. It was, it has this cool kind of switch where all you do is you step on it and it starts to work. Now, as a guitarist and singer, not having to worry about whether or not I fully click down the pedals, great. So if I want wah, I put my foot on it, it's on, I can then play it, take my foot off, it stops. But also if I double tap it, I can fix it in position, which is just really cool. Then we go on to my first kind of flexible position. So this is the 90 orange from Mua. It's a phaser. It's based on the obvious MXR phaser. I love to have like a texture pedal that just, if I'm playing rhythm, makes the rhythm sound interesting. If I'm playing lead and there's a second guitarist, it can make the sound kind of stand out from that. It does change. I've had a few different phase pedals in there. I've also had a few vibe pedals, and I really want a uni-vibey Leslie style pedal that's small but still has a bit more of a phasery effect on it, and I can't find one. So if you've got any suggestions for an affordable Leslie or vibey type pedal that I can put in there, let me know. It does get swapped around occasionally for the iSet chorus, just because the chorus, one with any chorus, if you ramp up the rate and the level, you can get kind of a Leslie vibe effect-ish. So that's quite a cool little pedal. But again, it's just for texture. The next flexible slot at the moment has my mini tube screamer, and I'm using that to push the low gain side of the Royal Flush, and also as a solo pedal, just because I like the sound of a tube screamer these days. But that does change around. Sometimes it has a more transparent drive in there. I put the ODR1. Other times I want a fuzz, so I hand it over to the fuzzer from Underflute. Just really depends on my mood. Then we go on to the VS Audio Royal Flush. Now the Royal Flush I got recently, but the way I'm using it is the high gain side. It's like a King of Tone basically. The high gain side is my just general leadish, rhythmish tone. It just kind of, that's what's almost on all the time when I'm playing blues and a bit of rock or whatever. And then I use the low gain side as a boost to push the high gain side, so I can get a bit more chug and a bit more volume, and so it stands out for lead. Sometimes what I'll also do is I'll use the tube screamer to push the low gain side, because it just sort of smooths off the highs a little bit if I want it to. And then the next flexible slot is where the blues driver is, and this is essentially my heavy tone. So I play in a band where we do everything from kind of B.B. King at times to Metallica and things like that. So I use the blues driver at full gain being pushed by one of these other drive pedals to get a really big kind of chugging sound. This does change occasionally, depending on my mood. It might get the Gojira Heretic in there, which is essentially a rat. All depends on how I'm feeling. The blues driver at the moment is kind of my favourite, purely because I'm playing a lot more blues and I can get a really cool heavy kind of blues lead tone from it. Penultimately, we have the iSet analog delay, because it's a really nice small form analog delay. But you can see I've kind of I've raised it up slightly with an extra bit of wood, because I like to be able to turn that on and off, although it is usually just on. And the final pedal in the chain is probably my favourite cheap pedal ever, the Mosky Spring Reverb, because it just sounds great, and I think it cost me £20. And it's a really nice kind of spring reverb that can go from a nice amp sounding spring reverb all the way up to really ridiculous caverns. And also this particular one, not all of them do, but this particular one can also, it goes into self-oscillation as well. So I'm going to plug it in, let you hear what all of this sounds like, and then over to you. Cool. All right, we're set up, which took way longer than I expected. Here is my clean tone on my Maybury T-Type. So start off with the box of clean. So instantly, this compressor makes it a bit fuller. Treble changes, and obviously we've got a bit of a volume boost. If we push the treble all the way up, just sounds nicer to my ears, and I can change the bass as you can hear it's active, so the whole thing gets louder. That's about where I normally have it. I won't play around the compressor. well, no, hang on, compressor all the way up. Into the wah, slightly hard to demonstrate with my hand. You get the idea. Into the phaser. Does what a phaser does. Tube screw mount. That's the kind of volume I have it set at, but I'll turn it off now. Into my more lead-like tone, so this is the high gain side, sorry, my kind of general rhythm tone, which is the high gain side of this. Then boost it with this side. That deserves some I love that pedal. Blues driver, set for heavy. Quite a lot of noise with that, so I am looking at getting a noise gate in here somewhere as well. Onto the delay, which you've already heard. Now, sometimes I have it set as kind of a really obvious delay like that. Sometimes I have it set as a very subtle kind of almost slap back, just to give a bit of thickness. So, looking for kind of 1.5 repeats. Put that in some reverb. Bit of drive. And it just thickens up the tone a little bit. And obviously the reverb. I usually have it set around here though. kind of what I sound like when I'm playing at home. Also, I have a silly lighting rig underneath it that can change colours. So there you have it, that's what my board sounds like. I'm really happy with this setup. I'm obviously going to, at some point, the box of clean is going to get replaced with something Klon-like. I don't want to spend the money on a KTR, I just can't justify it, but something like that will go in there. Modulation, that's going to change. Comments below if you know of a decent vibe or kind of phasery sounding pedal that's interesting that could go there. Still looking for a decent heavy pedal that I'm going to use all the time. Blues Driver and the Gojira kind of fit the bill nicely. Actually, interesting, the only thing on this pedal board that was given to me as a freebie is the iSet delay, just because it's a really cool pedal. I mean, other manufacturers make an identical version of that. Donna do a yellow fall, which is identical. I just really like the tone. It's a proper Bucket Brigade delay, apparently, but it sounds very good. It's a very analog delay. Everything else on here I've paid full price for, so I haven't filled my board with stuff that maybe some people would think that I'm beholden to organisations and companies to fill it with. If a pedal goes on this board, it's because it fits my particular style of playing. Doesn't mean it's a good or a bad pedal if it's on the board or off the board. It's just the pedal that I like at the time. And this board changes. If you ever follow me on Instagram, Dave Rage on Instagram, you'll see this board changes regularly. But this is a fairly kind of mid-gain, delay and reverb, modulation and wah kind of stay the same-ish most of the time. It's just me playing around with high gain, vibey type sounds and something low gain changes from time to time. Make of that what you will. Anyway, get in the comments, tell me what you like, what you dislike, whether you have your phaser pedal before or after the effects, the distortion. I have mine before, obviously. Like, subscribe, and I will see you again very soon. Cheers.